Good morning, fam. How is everybody? It's been a minute, but Chef is back. How is everybody doing? I'm glad you're okay. I'm praying everybody's okay. Our nation is in so much unrest right now that it is crazy. I'm feeling it everywhere. My hometown of Chicago is going through some things. It's where I live now, which is where George Floyd was originally from, Houston, is feeling some things. And so today is just one of those kind of days. But I wanted to get up today and make something that I had a taste for that just brings me back to like childhood and easier times. And you all will hear me talk about that all the time. And my family, everybody cooked and everything. So today we are making something that I think may be like a real southern type of breakfast fish. Y'all know the chef cooks a whole lot of fish. Had an issue a few weeks ago with some fish. Something went on, I don't know what that was. But anyway, today I am making some good old-fashioned salmon croquettes. Yes! If you do not know what salmon croquettes are, they are little fish cakes made out of salmon, sort of like a crab cake, but a little bit different from the crab cake, because in the crab cake we use mayo and a very light breading to hold it together. Croquettes are a little bit different. It's a salmon cake, and I use canned salmon, and I season it up, and you hold it together with, my mom used to do it with just cornmeal, but I do a little cornmeal to hold it together, but then I dip it in a seasoned cornmeal and flour that I fry it with. So let's just get started with that. What I'm gonna do today is use 2 cans of salmon. I already opened up one, so let me grab another one. Hold on, guys. So we are going to open up another can of salmon, which I hate that I did not have that done and have to do that on camera for you guys. But yeah, salmon croquettes I like them. When we were growing up, we would eat salmon croquettes with rice, or some people do it with grits, or you just have it with eggs and toast, but it's basically a fish cake. And so when you open up the salmon, it's like in a whole piece. And what I do is I drain it into a bowl to get some of the liquid off. And sometimes I find that I may go back and need that liquid, but then other times I don't, okay? And what you do, it'll have little bones in it. These bones will not hurt you, and you'll see them. But what you do is you open up the salmon. It'll be in chunks like that. And so you open it up where it's closed. You'll see it sort of like how it's formed to the can, and you will see the little bones, and I'm going to show them to you. They're little round bones like that, very small, and we don't want those in our salmon. And like I said, it doesn't hurt. They're so soft, like you can crush them with your hand, but we take them out. Like if you notice there, you can see a strip of the bone. And so I'm going to remove that, and we're going to discard that, okay? And so we just keep working around the salmon like that. And everybody, I'm sure, has their own recipe, their own way that they make salmon croquettes. It's one of those things, sort of like how everybody has their way of making gumbo or certain things like that. So salmon croquettes is one of those things. I've had them so many ways, and each way they taste a little bit different, but this is just my take on it and how I like to do it. So in that bowl, I have 2 cans of salmon. I'm gonna rinse my hand, guys, because we're working with fish. And you know, we need to be careful when working with the fish. And so when that's done, we got that in the bowl. Then what I do is, I like some fresh onion in mine. And so I'm really sorry to be leaving you guys off camera a lot today, but I like onion in mine. So we're gonna put a little fresh onion in there. And so you're gonna grab the onion and just cut that up. And I probably won't use this whole onion because it's pretty big. So I'm gonna do half of the onion in there. So let's get that. Got a little music going this morning in the kitchen, and just cutting up some onion, and we're gonna have this salmon, and I'm really just planning on having a quiet day. Have a couple of meetings I've got to hop on in a few, but I wanted to come in and get this done because I did say that I would start coming on and popping out things, because a lot of times what will happen is, even though, and let me explain, some people don't know my background, I am classically trained as a chef. I went to school, and sometimes you'll look at my knife skills and say, no way, but yes, I really am. I went to a French school here in Houston. And prior to that, when I was much younger, I started at a school in Chicago, SHIC. It was the Cooking and Hospitality Institute of Chicago. And so this is not a trained thing for me. Like, even though I am trained, hospitality and fellowship, that all comes from my heart. But the cooking part, I am trained, but a lot of my cooking comes from my family. My mom is a great cook. All of her sisters were great cooks, so my aunts are great cooks. Everybody just cooks, and then my husband grills. My family, they were great barbecuers. They do Memphis style barbecue. I think I've shared that with you guys. And so I just basically, I really like to cook a lot. So some of this comes from training, but most of it just comes from my roots of being at home and watching my mom in the kitchen. My mom had 4 daughters, and we were all in the kitchen with her all the time. And guys, I'm trying to hold my composure because this knife is not playing with your girl. Do you hear me? But I'm going to grab another knife because that one is not getting it done for me the way I want it. And I need it done much quicker. So I'm going to get my big baby. That's what I call him, Big Baby. And Big Baby gets the job done really quick. So we're going to use Big Baby and get these onions cut. And I like them minced kind of small in my salmon. And it just depends like on what your preference is. And you don't even have to use, if you don't want to use regular onion, you don't have to. You can always use just green onion, and that'll work out just fine. But I like the taste of just a good old fashioned onion. And I think that this is a Vidalia onion. And I'm gonna stop. Big Baby has done the job, has got them to the size that I want. And so I'm gonna put those off in there. And now my eyes are starting to run, but we're gonna get through it. So we've got our onion put in. And that was half of like a medium onion. And you all see me squinting here and on. So I'm gonna grab the paper towel for my eyes. Okay, so we got that done. We can move our cutting board because that's all the prep as far as like cutting or anything that we are going to do. And I will grab a spoon for when we start to mix, okay? And so now in this bowl, we've got our salmon. And I try not to manipulate the meat too much because I don't want the meat to get very fine. I want it to stay kind of chunk. Don't you hate if you eat crab cakes? Don't you hate when you go and you get crab cake and you taste more of the breading than the crab? Well, I feel the same way about my salmon croquettes. So we put that onion in there, and then we're gonna season it up with some salt and pepper. And so it's gonna be about a teaspoon of each. A teaspoon each of salt and pepper. And my eyeballs aren't working. So there's my salt. Got a teaspoon of that. And I'm probably going to do a half a teaspoon of pepper. Half a teaspoon. And it's a really basic seasoning that I put in them. But like I said, people do all different kinds of seasoning for stuff like that. Now for me, what I do different that most people probably don't do is I put a teaspoon of Old Bay. I love Old Bay with seafood. It just does something to it. And also, I do a little lemon pepper. And I know, like, lemon pepper is a thing that some people can take, you know, but I'll do, like, maybe half a teaspoon. Yeah, that's about a half a teaspoon of lemon pepper, okay? Now, another thing that I do different that people probably don't do is I put the zest of a lemon. Whenever I do seafood, I just like fresh lemon in it, okay? So that's what I do. I'm going over because I want to wash this lemon off. Because the zest is just the outer skin of the lemon, okay? So, and you don't want to zest it down to the white part. This is a zester. It's called a microplaner. But this is what you do for zest. And I use this anytime I'm doing anything that calls for citrus. Lemon lime, lemon bars, any key lime pie, anything. Yes, I'll use the juice, but I also use the zest because the flavor is actually in the skin. So if you see, I'm scraping it and I'm scraping down to the white, but you don't want to go way past the white. You just want that outer layer of it because the white can be bitter and it'll make your dish bitter. Okay, and I think that's enough. I have to go around the whole lemon, and I think that makes probably close to a tablespoon. So see, look, there's our beautiful zest. It fell all off in the bowl, but the zest is very fine. I get that in there. And then since I use 2 cans, I'm gonna use 2 eggs. And I had cracked up the eggs already, okay? That looks really good. And I like a little parsley just because I like color in food. You want food to be appetizing. I feel like we eat with our eyes as well as with our tongues and our palate, okay? And basically, that is it for the seasoning part of this. It's so simple, I'm telling you. So then the next part, and when you stir it around like that, try not to manipulate your fish too much because you want to keep it where you have it. And for me, I think I'm gonna add another egg because if you see, it's not really moist at all. So I'm gonna add 1 more egg. So to those 2 cans, I added 3 eggs, okay? And I cracked the egg. I should have beat the egg before I dropped it in there to keep from manipulating the fish. I'm telling you not to manipulate the fish and then I'm manipulating the fish. Okay, so we got that, right? So that's all done. And then we're going to add to this. Now we're gonna add a little bit of cornmeal. So I start, it's not quite, it's about 1/3 cup. Okay. That's 1/3 cup of cornmeal. And then I do an equal amount of flour. We have 1/3 cup of flour. Okay. It's not quite, it's just, it wasn't even 1/3 cup of the flour. It's more of the cornmeal, and it's about half of that 1/3 cup measure of flour. And I know that's really horrible because I'm not a good measurer for you guys. But I will redo the recipe and print it out where you can actually see the numbers. And actually, this is the consistency that I want. That's fine. You see how I can make it and it'll make a patty? That's the consistency that I want, so that's fine. So we're gonna put that to the side and I'm gonna remove these onion skins off the table because those onions are giving me the flux. Okay, so we've got that, right? I keep the juice from the can just in case because sometimes it can get too dry and you may need it, okay? So I'm gonna move some things out of the way. And now we're gonna make the dredge that we're gonna put them in. I'm gonna start a skillet over here. I got a skillet on the stove and I'm gonna run in about 3 tablespoons of oil. And that was just 3 flicks of the wrist to give me the 3 tablespoons, okay? So let's make this batter we're gonna make. We're gonna put a tablespoon of flour, and most people just do a straight cornmeal, or they don't even make a batter, a separate batter, they just do it like that. But I like a separate little coating to it, and sometimes when I have time, or if I'm doing it ahead of time for a brunch or something, I'll make the cakes up the night before, put them on a cookie sheet, cover them with wax paper, and then that morning when I get ready to fry them, I make my batter and put them on there, and it gives it a little crunch on the outside, but it's still nice and soft, and you get the texture of your fish on the inside, and I really like that. So there's our dredge for that. I've got a few spots of lemon left on here that I can use, and this is totally not necessary, but I saw it, so I'm gonna put that into my dredge. I just like fresh lemon with seafood. It just does something. They are the greatest compliment to each other, and I really like that, okay? And so, I mean, it's salmon croquettes, but who says you can't, you know, kick it up, make it good. And all that eating, we eat good over here in Chef D's kitchen. So we put some lemon zest in there. We got our flour and our cornmeal, and then I'm gonna add a little paprika, just a sprinkle of it. And you will see, because guys, I am so visual, and that just makes it look so pretty. Oh, when you smell that zest, it smells so good. And that's basically our batter because we seasoned our fish already with the salt and pepper. And that's all we're gonna do. And I think I will do a pinch of salt and a dash of pepper. I mean, because you should season each layer. So when you're doing batters and stuff like that, you need to season the protein, but you also need to season your batter. It won't hurt anything, okay? We got that skillet going, and this was the cake that I started. So I just take a spoonful of the fish, had it into a ball, see that? It's just a ball, flatten it out a little. Now, when I'm doing a party, I'm not gonna lie to you, I use my biscuit cutter. I take my meat and put it in there so they'll all be the same size. But this morning, I'm not gonna do that. But I will show you what that looks like. I will take my cutter, depending on what size I want. And after I get my cake the way I want it, in that little ball, I will use my cutter and put it in there and just make sure they're the same size. I don't have to do that this morning, but it's so cute. Look at the presentation of it. It makes it look nice. And when I'm serving people, it's all about presentation for me. And taste too, but I really feel like presentation is important and we shouldn't take that for granted, okay? Hey, that's in honor of old Miss B. Smith, rest her soul. Love you, B. B. Smith was this great African-American model and actress, and she was just a style like guru. People would refer to her as the Black Martha Stewart, and she was all about the style, and she was so classy. And I'm thinking about in the future doing some of B's recipes on the channel. I think that would be so nice, and it's an homage to her. I love her as much as, you know, but I also love Martha Stewart, and I love the Barefoot Contessa, and I love the Pioneer Woman. But B. Smith, I loved her. Beautiful, classy, just a beautiful woman. She passed away not too long ago from dementia, and so I still often think about Miss B when I come in the kitchen. I have her cookbook sitting up on my shelf, and I see it, and I thank her. You know, I just give homage to somebody like her, okay? So we dredged it in that. Here's our salmon croquette. It's all dredged in the cornmeal flour mix. And our oil is over there going, and it should be pretty warm. But what I'm gonna do is get all of these dredged. I'll do about 4 of them for you, just to show you what they look like. And so they should stay together because they're not that, you didn't leave any liquid in them, okay? So we're gonna drop these in. Oh, sounds great. I got the sizzle. Y'all know Chef D loves the sizzle. When we're dishing in the kitchen with D, you gotta have some sizzling going on. So we've got 2 croquettes down, and we're gonna put 2 more in. We're gonna make 4 just so I can show you what they look like and get them all fried up. And then I'll flip them. They cook about 3 minutes per side. And my family loves these. And so this morning when I do these, I'll probably make up a pot of grits. And if you don't know what grits are grain, and they're made from the hominy part of corn. And in the South, we eat grits. We eat them savory, we eat them sweet. I like them, and some people do them with cheese. But when I make salmon croquettes, sometimes I'm just a traditionalist, just a plain salt grit with butter, and it's just very good. So those 4 are dropped, and I'm gonna move this pan out the way. Salmon croquettes. I never thought I would be on filming the salmon croquettes, but hey, why not? They smell really good in here too, okay? And so what I think I'll do is I'll let these finish off. They look pretty good. I wanted to flip them and show you what they look like. Ooh, they're pretty and golden. So I'm gonna move them over so you guys can see them. I'm horrible, guys. Don't pay attention to my filming skills. But can you see them? They are really pretty and golden. I hope you can see it. That's the one that I flipped. It's really pretty. And this one should be coming along. Could have went a little longer. But I do them like 3 or 4 minutes per side, okay? So you see that? Those are our croquettes. See how golden they are? And so those are gonna finish. I mean, and then I'll have them, like I said, with a side of grits, make some toast, and I think I've got some peach preserves in there, and then I'll put a picture up to show you the final product. Have a great, prosperous, blessed, and productive day, and know that Chef D loves you. I'm dishing in the kitchen today just a little bit. I think I'm gonna come back later on and do a white chocolate and cherry bread pudding. I love bread pudding. The history of that is I don't like raisins, so one day I tried it with some dried cherries, and oh my God, it was the bomb. Mind blown. Then went to New Orleans and had a cherry bread pudding at Emerald Spot. It was delicious, and he put a bourbon sauce on it. So I'm thinking I may do that a little bit later on. But no matter what, don't forget, when you're dishing in the kitchen with Chef D and all thy eating, eat good. Know that I love you. Peace.